wild ride.
God, you probably pressed the wrong button. They ended the session. I suppose.
I got completely kicked off of Zoom and had to log back in.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
do the same thing. We use Teams. We don't use
We
Zoom.
see
So I'm like, what
oh.
is this?
I was trying to close out the room and got kicked out. Sorry.
That's okay. We found our
look,
way back.
guys, I figured out my video.
Ah,
Yay!
And now you can see me live from my bedroom. Yeah. So let me go back to the so Ruchaita, if you want to bring back the
slides, yes. And I
slides,
also made you co-host, so that should also work.
So if folks want, so I don't know if you had a chance to have a reporter in your group, but if there are a lot of folks here, so maybe let's not belabor this too much because we want to get to ideas. But do a few people want to just chime in with, or maybe can we just hear from a couple people who want to chime in with some of the barriers that your group talked about?
I can go. I don't know if anybody can.
Hi, Megan.
Hi. Okay, I can't see myself. Okay, there we go. Hi, I'm Megan. I'm from TCNJ. So that's the College of New Jersey. So my group talked a lot about, there were staff members in my group, and then I was the only student, but we talked about how all of our schools are dealing with this kind of feeling of a lack of like quality service being given. So I give the example of I work with an at-risk population. I work with adults with disabilities. So the service is going to look very different even if we do go back in the fall. So, right now, this kind of limbo, we're really concerned with this like quality of service that we're giving both to students that are not Bonners, so ones that are fulfilling their community service requirement, and then also the populations that we work with our community partners.
Yeah, that really echoes what some of our conversations were like. Anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah. So
go, Emily. We were in the same group. I was just going to run down a fast list, so you go.
Okay. Well, one of the things is, especially that at Notre Dame of Maryland University in Baltimore dealing with is when we have moved to remote or online learning, our students are bearing the responsibility of taking care of family members or dealing with jobs. And so that time element that they used to have either focusing on their studies is now being occupied. And so we have to be creative with the meaning making and reflection process, and to being more open to like what counts as, Bonner hours. That's one of, Amy, you go.
I'll just go. We said risk and liability for the institution's a barrier. Safety for the students and the community partners and the community constituents is a barrier. Fear in and of itself, we listed as a barrier. We listed some of the financial barriers that are there, that there's not new money really to try to do things in new ways. And then the issue with some of the people like students that we want to help might not have the Wi-Fi or technology needed. Those are some of the others I had listed that I haven't heard yet.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else have something that they haven't heard so far that think need to be lifted up right now?
You can go ahead.
I can't. I'm like, it's so many people. I can't tell who was talking.
I know. Go for it, Robin.
I'll do two quick ones. The online fatigue, Zoom fatigue, and that might also, if they have to do all this stuff online, then you lose the connection, the fulfillment, and the motivation to actually do service, because that's what feeds a lot of this for our students. And then another one that may just be kind of region specific, but a barrier is having alignment between the school and community partners in terms of like how to approach the pandemic and what protocols should be, because in some places the pandemic has become political, so that there are different opinions about the severity and ways to approach it.
Yeah, great point. Jasmine, do you want to?
Sure. Our group talked a little bit about maybe how some schools might have a lack of existing structure for community engagement, and so how that within itself is a barrier for moving online or remotely. but then also how maybe our leadership is in turmoil too. So they're very inconsistent direction that also kind of keeps staff up at night and doesn't kind of give clear direction. And then maybe also figuring out what it looks like for Bonner students their willingness to come back, their ability to come back there, and making sure that they're all safe too.
So let's do this just in the interest of time. If people have other things that feel burning, just throw it in the chat. Rachita, if we could go back to the slideshow. You know, I think the bottom line is that what we have to do right now is super hard. There are a lot of barriers. And yet we have to do it. So, you know, how? And I'll just share with you some of the ideas that we're kicking around at Bates. And then I'd love again to just have there be an expansive open time for us to share ideas with each other in our smaller groups. And maybe wind up with a Google Doc that becomes a place where we can, even after this call, we can just continue to be sharing ideas. Because we need to, I think we need to, we're all in this together. We need to help each other and support each other right now. So one thing that we've been doing, we did already at the end of this semester. And oh yes, good point. I'll share my links in the chat. Is to work with our K-12 partners and to have students in classes develop, and also some Bonners did some really cool things, develop games, videos, and other learning activities for our K-12 partners. And yes, I will definitely share all this with all of you. I want to show you this Google form that I shared up, Rachita, if you could click on that. So here's I sent an email to all of the teachers we work with in K-12. And just to kind of get their feedback, and Rachita, if you could scroll down, you can see so stop for a minute. If you could, what I've asked them is, are they interested in having our students develop learning activities or videos? Are you interested in having Bates students lead one-on-one or small group mentor sessions? What other suggestions do you have? What concerns do you have? How likely are you to consider engaging with our students remotely? And if you're willing to do this and you want to continue the conversation, please leave your name. And I have 33 teachers right now who, I just sent this out yesterday, who have said, yeah, I really want to do this. I either want your students to Zoom remotely or to develop learning activities, or I want them to do both. Or a couple of teachers like, I've got some other ideas, and here they are. And we're going to do this with other partners as well. We're going to create a survey for folks in our kind of non-youth realm. I'm pretty interested in, youth is sort of my arena, but I also feel like youth engaged work is kind of the bread and butter for a lot of us. And so it's important for us to figure this out. Rachita, if you could go back. Oops.
Yeah, just 1 second. I'm gonna share it back once. Don't know what happened.
You made me a...
Yeah, I already made you a co-host. I know that. I'm just trying to access that link again. I'm sorry about this.
I think, you know, I think I can do it now because you made me the co-host. So let me just take over.
Okay.
So let me present. Come on, present. Sorry, you guys, clearly technology is not my strong suit. Okay, so the other thing that I've been doing is researching how other people are doing tutoring and mentoring sessions for in K-12 via Zoom or other platforms. And check out this great website from Wake Forest. Wake Forest has done an incredible job. They turned around on a dime. There's an amazing woman there who's running this. I had a conversation with her. She shared all of her back-end stuff with me, including all the stuff around liability that they figured out. So, you know, parents are deeply involved in the work that they've done. in the way that they do Zoom tutoring and mentoring. And I'll send you guys this link, but they've done a lot of this thinking already, and they're super generous. They've also got all these resources for tutors, lessons, worksheets, what to do if you're working with a special ed kid, tutoring tools, educational games. They've really done an amazing job. So one of the things that I've been doing is reaching out to admin in our K-12 realm around Lewiston, and getting them on board before I start to build anything, so that we can work out our liability questions together. And I've been surprised, like we seem to be more worried about that on our end than the K-12 partners are. So that's been super interesting, and I'll share all these things with you. In terms of the non-youth-based stuff, electoral engagement is something we've been talking a lot about, and there are a ton of great resources out there. And I can share, we have someone in our office who's been amassing them, and I can share those with you. Project Pericles is one that's been doing a ton of great work, but there's also SEEP, and this is not my work, so I'm not but we could share resources with you. We have someone in our office who's really interested in COVID-19 and getting folks maybe to collaborate on sort of looking at an investigation of the impact the pandemic has had on the local community through oral histories or through analyzing data from various partners. And then another thing that we're thinking about that we've actually already tried this semester, and it was super interesting to partners, was we had a virtual presentation by someone who's leading up early childhood initiatives for the state of Maine. And we put out a call to our partners, and we got like 35 people who showed up because they wanted to hear from this woman. And so it occurred to me at that point that virtual symposia for partners, where they develop research-based oral presentations that are relevant to a particular topic of interest to our off-campus partners, would be interesting to partners, and our experience is that they would show up for that. So those are some ideas we're banging around. And I'm curious to know what ideas you have for remote engagement in the fall. I created this Google Doc, and I'm going to put this link in the chat. Whoops. I just screwed that up. I go back. I'm going to put this link in the Google Doc, in the chat box. And so what I'm hoping is that you all can pick somebody, in addition to having somebody, I can stop sharing, go back here. If we can go back to groups,